here still at the Manila Dialogue on the South China Sea, and we're honored to have our good friend Benjamin Blandin from the Catholic University of Paris, a maritime security expert. Sir, what brings you to Manila today?
Well, actually, I'm one of the delegates at the Manila Dialogue on the South China Sea, so I will be there for the 2 days discussing and listening to the other experts.
Right, and what do you think of the current conference so far? How do you think it's going?
Well, it's first of all, I was quite satisfied because there's quite an amazing gathering of experts from not just Southeast Asia, but the region and also the world. So there is a good mix of origin and expertise.
All right, and why do you think there's suddenly this attention on Manila? Well, what's so special about Philippine foreign policy at the moment, and what's going on in the region that warrants such a conference being put here in Manila?
Well, hopefully Manila didn't just started being a hotspot for geopolitical discussion. It's been a few years already, but it's true that at the moment there's a very important moment, let's say in time, because the strategy, other countries are entering into the logic. Vietnam is being more and more active. Malaysia is having its own strategy. Western powers from Europe, the U.S., but also India, Korea, Japan. Many countries are getting more and more involved, either independently or in support of the Philippines. So I think that that's the momentum starts to be here.
And what do you think? Can you comment perhaps on the Philippines foreign policy at the moment and Philippine security policy? How do you think it's going, and what objectives do you think it's fulfilling?
Well, the Philippines for many years already has been seeking support from the region, from its natural partners around. I cannot say ASEAN has been very helpful, to be honest, but still, some countries have started raising their voice in support of the Philippines. Vietnam, we can really appreciate that Vietnam has been very vocal in support of the Philippines. There's this project of the Philippines to have either a bilateral or trilateral code of conduct in Southeast Asia, which to me is a very interesting prospect. And the U.S. has clarified the guidelines, how the mutual defense treaty would apply. So there's positive things happening.
Right, and perhaps you can clarify a bit because that's one of the major myths going around that the guidelines hasn't been clarified, and it's good that you mentioned that. What recent clarifications have you made, which you think is very significant in terms of Philippine foreign policy and security policy?
Well, to be perfectly honest, the Philippines have been complaining about the U.S. since Marcos' father time. So since 1975, it's been 50 years. The Philippines were actually not exactly happy with the lack of clarity from the U.S. So the guidelines, the clarification of the guidelines has happened in two times. First, verbally, there has been verbal assurances, and then there has been a written clarification of the guideline that say that if either an asset, whether a plane, a boat, a military base, an installation, or one or several soldiers were to be injured or killed because of an attack, not mentioning China, but clearly thinking about China, the U.S. would come at the rescue, so to speak. There's been a race with the EDCA, then the EDCA plus. Then the U.S. started deploying assets on a rotation basis to the Philippines, including quite cutting edge missiles, troops also on a rotation basis. So all of this is. In a way, a clarification in itself. The investments of the U.S. in Palaos, in Micronesia, in the Northern Mariana is also a clarification because it means the U.S. is maintaining or expanding or modernizing its facilities. It's bringing more anti-air missiles, more anti-ship missiles, more troops, more planes, and it's getting ready in case of.
All right, and lastly, ending with the U.S., you mentioned the U.S. Philippine alliance and their commitment. What do you think that will be like going forward in an age of President Trump, with him now being reelected? You recently saw President Marcos congratulating him, talking about their existing relationship, which goes back to his mother and in the 90s. Well, how do you think it will be like going forward, a Trump Marcos alliance?
Well, it's an unpopular opinion, but I think it will change nothing. When Trump was president, things were the EDCA was already on the way. The EDCA Plus was on the way. There's been already things happening during the Trump presidency. I think Trump is not seeking a specific economic advantage from the Philippines. There's not so much money to be made out of the Filipino government anyway. And so what we know that Trump is really anti-interventions, anti-military intervention. So we can think that if there was tomorrow a high intensity conflict with China, probably he wouldn't send troops right away. Maybe missiles, maybe strikes with planes or these kind of things, but he would probably, most probably, not deploy troops at the rescue of the Philippines. So that's for me what we can hope is nothing will change.
All right. Thank you so much, Benjamin Blandin of the Catholic University of Paris. Thank you so much.